In today's episode, Stephanie asks, when it comes to building trust, how do we know what success looks like? How can we measure it? Well, trust is a tricky thing to measure because it's such a fundamental core emotion. If you look back at psychology and how different frameworks have come up to even understand emotions, there are all these different models that you can use to try and figure out like what even an emotion is, and how it relates to important things like, say, survival. Trust is one of those fundamental things. So this is a model here. This is Robert Plutchik's wheel of emotions. You can see that in that first concentric ring, trust is on there. It's it's expressed by admiration. It's opposed by disgust. And fundamentally, trust is one of those things. It's like, how do you explain it? In that same thesis, he proposed that each of these core emotions has a basic survival advantage, right? Disgust is something that happens when we ingest something that doesn't taste good, right? And we spit it out. We literally, because we perceive it as poisonous, right? And trust is the opposite of that. We see somebody who's a member of our group, a member of our tribe, they're a friend, and so our action is literally to friend that person, to recruit them for mutual support, to help us survive. When you consider that particular survivalist instinct, how does that play out when it comes to something like a brand? Well, think about what you would expect someone to be able to say about a brand that they trust. And the gold standard here for figuring this out, for measuring this, would be surveying, asking people at all different stages of the customer experience. So surveying at the awareness stage, for trust-based questions, consideration, purchase, loyalty, evangelism, at all throughout the customer experience cycle, asking people questions like, do you trust this brand? Do you see it as a friend, as friendly to you? Do you believe that the brand will do right by you if something goes wrong, right? Do you believe that the brand supports you and the things that you believe in? Do you believe that there's a mutual support relationship in place? There are some brands where people feel, based on their interactions with the brand, that yes, this brand will support me. This brand has supported me. And that can be anywhere from things like donating to specific causes to just having working customer service, right? Having a customer service department that will not make you feel like an idiot. All of those would be things that you'd want to surface within surveying, and that is still the gold standard for understanding how people feel about a brand. There are other things that you can do that I would say you should treat as secondary data sources because, again, the gold standard is still surveying. It's just asking people how they feel around those trust-based questions, or, again, the polar opposite on that wheel of emotions, asking people about disgust-based questions, things that interactions they've had that were negative. How many of them have they had? Because as everybody knows, it really only takes one screw-up for a brand to completely ruin the relationship you have with it. One bad judgment call. I was talking with my business partner and co-founder, Katie Robert, about one technology brand that at a conference hired an absolutely awful speaker, just terrible judgment call, and that has forever corrupted her feelings about that brand. That brand has no chance to ever impress her, to work past that without like serious, substantial, personal interaction. And that's a big part of this equation as well, is in trust, because we are taking the action of friending somebody, right, of bringing them into our group, of asking them for mutual support. It's not something that the brand can do easily at scale, but it is absolutely something that occurs at one-to-one interactions with the brand. So if you are spending $1 million on this branding campaign, but you're still paying minimum wage or less to your customer support team, and they deliver an abusive experience, you're achieving no ground, right? Because that one-to-one interaction is how this survival instinct works. Now, there are other things that you can use to measure this. So you could examine, for example, branded search for bigram frequencies, 2-word combinations around your brand. if the number of people searching for, your company name and scam or sucks or whatever comes up a lot, guess what? You've got a problem, right? You have a substantial problem, particularly if it's around, again, customer support issues. Looking at trust words, looking at disgust words. How often do those co-occur in branded organic search, assuming someone's searching for your brand at all? Looking at social interactions, particularly social media. If something negative about your brand comes up, who supports you and how quickly? Right now, this is not something, again, this is good secondary research because you don't want to create a negative event just to see who pops out of the woodwork. That's not a good idea. But if it's happening anyway, use the data. And most important, be performing sentiment analysis on interactions with your brand, especially, again, customer service interactions. You should be mining your customer service inbox and looking at, again, trust words and disgust words, the frequencies of each, the valence or intensity of each in every single email you get, in every phone call you get in your customer service center, and every interactive chat log. Be scoring those intakes and asking people the questions if you can. If not, just be doing the sentiment analysis, the natural language processing on those interactions to understand how much trust or disgust is there in every single interaction. That is actually something that would fairly closely resemble an NPS score in some ways, right? Just having a composite number and tracking it over time. How many of our communications had an overall valence of trust, particularly if you have the technology to break an interaction into thirds and then measure the trust in thirds, beginning, middle, and end. Did trust go up or down in those interactions? But fundamentally, go back to the basic surveying. And that can be surveys with a market research firm. It can be surveys at point of purchase or post-purchase. It can even be surveys on your website. But be asking people consistently those questions, like, do you see the brand as a friend? Do you feel supported by us? What would make you feel supported by us? What would increase your trust in us that we would do the right thing by you? All those are questions. Work out with your marketing team. Work out with someone on staff who has psychology experience to better understand how to phrase those questions to get at the answers you want. Hire a good market research firm. But that's how you measure it. And then, as with all measures, you're looking for more of what you want and less of what you don't want. So again, going back to Dr. Plutchik's wheel of emotions, you want more trust, you want less disgust. Right? The same is true for all the emotions on there. You want more joy and less, anger and sadness. Pretty straightforward stuff. Be careful with emotion analysis. Be thorough, and especially be looking for bias when you're asking these questions, because it's super easy to go wrong on those fronts. And again, you should have somebody with psychology experience working with you to tune those things, and someone with good market research experience to tune those things with you and make sure you're asking fair, balanced, unbiased questions that will give you accurate diagnostics. Really good question. There's a lot to dig into here. You got follow-up questions? Leave them in the comments box below. Subscribe to the YouTube channel and the newsletter. I'll talk to you soon. Take care. Want help solving your company's data, analytics, and digital marketing problems? Visit trustinsights.ai today and let us know how we can help you.